Welcome everyone to the next video in my series of videos on AI. This is a hands-on video. This is about structured LLM output. So when you have your application where the application is going to consume output from LLM, you may not be able to consume output in a free form, right? In an unstructured format, right? So typically this is when you will use this, right? You want the output of LLM to be consumed by your app further down the stream, right? And that output, then in that case, you would need to be in a structured format, right? So typically this is achieved by what are called as reprompting libraries, okay? There are three different ways mainly at this time. The first one is based on OpenAI API. Okay, this is a beta API, beta chat completions API, right? It has a dot parse function, and in the response format, you give a pedantic class, right? The next one is based on a Python package called instructor. It's a wrapper that works over many LLM providers. So this is the advantage of instructor, right? The above one works only with OpenAI because OpenAI is the only LLM provider that supports structured output, right? But instructor can make it work with any LLM providers, even if natively they don't support structured output. Okay. So here you basically wrap your base client in the using the from OpenAI method in instructor package, and you create an instructor client. Okay, and then on that instructor client you call the chat completion API, and in the response model you give the pedantic class, right? So the OpenAI API has a response format. This one has a parameter called response model, right? That is the difference here. Now further interesting way of having a structured LLM output is outlines. It's a package, it's like a rich package, right? And the way you use it is it has a generate method which takes different formatters. They also need samplers as one of the argument, right? And the formatters are the first one is JSON, right? Now all these above two, right? The OpenAI API as well as the instructor, right? They are only JSON, right? Now the outlines takes it beyond JSON, right? Whatever it takes beyond JSON is mostly driven by regex. Okay. However, even with regex, it kind of gives little more sophisticated implementations for niche use cases like choice and all that. Okay, so with that, now we'll dive into the hands-on. Okay, so now this particular video is sort of motivated by a deep learning course of the same topic called structured LLM output. However, what I have done for the hands-on is I have sort of modified their code which works with different LLM providers to make it work with Ollama, right? Advantage of working with Ollama, it's all local. You don't need subscription to other providers like OpenAI or Together, right? Which is what they have used in the course. I have used like a basically Ollama, right? Which is a local LLM. As we have the theme in this particular series of my AI videos on the hands-on, right? It's like purely local on Ollama. Okay. So I'll show three examples here, right? So first of all, I mean, you have to make Ollama OpenAI compatible, right? Which we hadn't done in the previous Ollama hands-on video, right? So let me spend some time there, right? So what you do is basically in the you from the OpenAI library, you import OpenAI, and in the OpenAI, you give the base URL, right? This will be your URL where your Ollama is hosted, okay? And it doesn't need a API key, but it's required. So you basically it's unused here, okay? And then you call the beta chat completions API, right? This is the API I'm using for this particular structured output, right? And I'm kind of, printing that, okay? So it takes a while sometimes to run depending on your resources of local machine. So I have already run it, right? So this particular conversation is like between like a assistant, right, about LA Dodgers series, right? And the question is, where was it played, right? I mean, so first it asks who won it, right? So it got the answer, gave the answer. Right now, this is like a little bit of chain of thought, right? It said, oh, okay, I need to figure out where it was played, right? And it's what a trick question, right? It's around the COVID-19 time, right? Usually it's played at the place where the team is hosted, right? So, but it did all the thinking and finally it gave the answer, right? So, okay, it was actually in LA, right? Dodger Stadium, LA. Okay. Okay. The next example is using the okay, I mean, this was basically just demonstrating how to make it OpenAI compatible, right? I mean, the simple way you make it OpenAI compatible, you just wrap it in OpenAI, right? Base URL would be where your ollama is hosted. That's it, right? Doesn't need a API key. Okay, that's the answer. Okay. Now, building on that, now we'll kind of use that OpenAI API for this structured output. So how do you do that? So again, a simple way, right? You basically use the same thing that we did before. Now, for structuring, I mean, the very common library is Pydantic. So from Pydantic, we import base model. So now I have defined a user, right? So which is inheriting from base model. So the user has a name, age, and email. Now, email is optional, right? But it's a string, okay? And then you use the same API, right? Client, beta, chat completions, pass, right? And we said that your helpful assistant make up a user, right? And the key is the response format. You'll say the user, right? Which is a Pydantic class that you define. So this is how OpenAI knows that, okay, I have to kind of, output a JSON in this particular format, right? And I'm kind of, going to print that parsed content, okay? So if I run that, basically it said, okay, it's a name is JSON, age is 6, and email is it give that email. Okay, now if I don't print the parsed, I will actually see the JSON. I'll see the raw JSON, right? But I want to kind of have user friendly output, so I said dot parsed. Okay, so this is the second example, right? Now the third one is using instructor, right? It now advantage of instructor is it works with many LLM providers, though they natively don't support structured LLM output. Okay, so I'll just kind of quickly show the example here, right? So now it's a little more involved, but the basic thing is same, right? You have the OpenAI client, right? Now use instructor, right? And as I showed in the first slide, you basically wrap it, right? So the client that you got, uh, like a ollama client in this case, right? You wrap it and you make an instructor client, okay? Now again, like this is more involved example, right? Where I have a person, I have a calendar event, right? And like a little bit of prompt engineering here, right? What is it? What is the event, right? It's like a meeting between two persons, right? uh, what is the system prompt here, right? Like you make a calendar event, right? Is the event description, and then you basically use the same chat completion create API. Right now you give a model, right? You say that, okay, I mean, this is kind of telling what to do, right? But the interesting thing is the response model, right? Response model is the calendar event, right? Which is our sort of pedantic event, right? Calendar event, okay? And that's it, okay? And you then print the event. Unfortunately, I tried a few models like Llama 2, like, DeepSeek was our theme for this particular video series, right? But I think what happens is this particular one needs like a tool use, right? Which is not supported by these small models. Okay, so I couldn't make it work, but what I'll show is I'll go back to the deep learning site from where this sort of video was motivated, right? And I'll just show you how that calendar event looks like. So basically, this calendar event, it has a name, it has a date, right? Participants, right? Participants will have two persons, right? Person Alice, person Bob, right? Address where this event is, right? And not only it gets like this street address, but it figures out the city name and a state code and a zip code, right? It figured out, the LLM figured it out on its own, right? I mean, that is what this structured LLM output using instructor does. Okay, now the next one is even more interesting, right? It is using outlines, right? And it helps you take beyond JSON, right? I mean, JSON is a common structure if you notice, right? But then Say for example, I want to have a phone number or an email address, right? Now, how do you do that, right? So let's first look at the code, right? It's very simple. So basically you use the outlines. And now outlines has something called as sampler. So we'll use a simpler sampler like greedy, right? Now you have to use a model, right? I mean, you have to now use the transformers package, okay? And now the key thing here is a regular expression, right? So this regular expression, how does a phone number look like? So basically it has 0 to 9 digits three times, 0 to 9 digits three times, and 0 to 9 digits four times, right? It's a 3 3 4 kind of structure, right? And then you say generate regex, you give a model, right? A regular expression and a sampler, right? And then you print it. So if I do that, right, I get a phone number like this, right? 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 0. So I think this might be fairly quick, so we can run it again. But that is a summary of structured LLM output, right? We'll come back to this output, right? But then uh, basically it's mostly based on reprompting libraries, right? There is a OpenAI native API, right, which is still in beta, right? Instructor is a wrapper, right, that works with many LLM providers, and then there is outlines, which takes it beyond JSON, right? And the powered by regex, right? Regular expressions give that power to take it beyond JSON, right? So yeah, I mean it will kind of maybe it's deterministic. Temperature might be zero, right? So it's kind of giving the same answer for the phone number, right? So now all this code I have put in my GitHub, right? So I'll share that link also in the description of this video, right? But if you go to my GenAI repository, there is a ollama folder, right? And it has all this code that you can work with, right? So it also has the code from the previous basic ollama, right, which is a LLM invoke, gen invoke, which was covered in the previous ollama uh, video. Okay, so good luck. If you like the video, click the like button, subscribe to my channel, and hope to talk to you soon. Bye.